Hello everyone, my name is Elise Kodorobe. Today is March 12th, 2019, and this is the sheep heart dissection video for Bio 240. I can draw your attention to the external interior view of the sheep heart. This is it immediately after the package, with me doing a tiny bit of trimming at the top, some of the fat there, just to kind of make the vessels and structures a little bit more visible. Already from the front, you can see the interventricular sulcus, which is this sort of crevice. Normally the heart would be a little bit more shapely, but packaging has kind of compressed it. We've also got the right auricle, which is this flap on the right anatomical side of the sheep, and the left auricle, which is this flap on the left anatomical portion of the sheep. This would also be my first photograph. Alright, perfect, take it. And we're going to switch to the back. The back, the top portion of my heart is very, very compressed, so all the vessels are kind of squished down. Also, it looks like they took the top portion of my left atria, along with my pulmonary vessels. One thing I can do is show you the inferior and superior vena cava. The inferior would be the bottom portion, and the superior would be the top portion right there. We've also got the anterior interventricular sulcus, which is this kind of, it's supposed to be like a valley shape, separating the left and right atria. You want to, here, take another picture. Okay. And that's ultimately, ultimately the heart's still the same. You can still see the left and the right auricles. You've got your ventricles, which compose a majority of the heart right there. And next what we're going to do is we're going to check the pulmonary veins. As I mentioned, I can't really, the pulmonary artery looks like it will be this portion right here. This is the pulmonary artery. This looks like the aorta, the biggest and thickest vessel. So pulmonary artery leading to the lungs. The pulmonary veins would return to the ventricle, but it looks like I mentioned before, they cut it all off. All right, next we're going to look inside the heart to check out the internal anatomy of the sheep heart, the left side specifically. So we're going to take a scalpel and carefully cut through the lateral aspect of the left auricle and left ventricle until we reach almost the apex of the heart. Do not cut into the right side of the heart yet. All right, so this is the left auricle, anatomically speaking, of the heart. I'm going to make that incision and bring it all the way down. The scalpel does not inspire confidence. Looks like it's coming apart already. To the apex. And we've popped this guy open. Perfect. Perfect. So we're going to take a quick picture there. The one thing I do want to do is take the picture with the aorta. As I mentioned before, the biggest vessel on the top is the aorta. It looks like they cut it very close. But the ventricle, the left ventricle, if I could just manage to, is very muscular in that, and that's simply because it pumps, it's responsible, the left ventricle is responsible for pumping blood to the entire body. And that's ultimately it. Picture. And like I mentioned before, it does look like they so that's it does look like they cut into my ventricle completely. My atria, I'm sorry. It looks like they completely cut into my atria. There is no atria. They chopped the top portion of it off. So I can't show you guys the pulmonary veins returning to that portion of the heart. Next, I'm going to do the same thing. Oh, my mask is slipping off. Next, I'm going to do the same thing on the right anatomical side of the heart. So I'm going to find our landmark, which is the auricle, and just make an incision very carefully. Like so. Popping that guy open. You'll notice that this portion, the ventricle wall, sorry, if I can just get that way, is not as thick. The ventricle wall on this side is nowhere near as thick. And let me see if I can get the... I'm going to try to put the probe through the pulmonary vein, which should be this one. So this is the pulmonary artery, I'm sorry, not vein. Artery, because arteries do go away from the heart. And just get a good picture there. All good? And that ultimately would do it. Blood would enter the heart through the inferior and superior vena cava into the right atria. From there, it would get pumped down into the right ventricle. The right ventricle would pump it through the pulmonary. It would pump it through the pulmonary artery to the lungs, where the blood would be oxygenated and then return to the heart. In the left atria, that's oxygenated blood now. The oxygenated blood would then go down into the left ventricle, and the left ventricle would use that muscular wall to contract and push that blood all the way through the aorta and oxygenate the entire body. And that's ultimately how it goes. There are several valves, I should have mentioned those before, separating the right atria and right ventricle is the tricuspid valve, and there's also a mitral as well as bicuspid valve on the left side, anatomically speaking, of the heart. There's also semilunar valves. One's pulmonary and the other one's aortic. And as you may imagine, they separate. They stop backflow from occurring in both the aortic artery as well as the pulmonary artery. And that concludes our dissection. Thank you.